At first glance, it doesn't make sense. Franz Kafka was an introverted writer, deeply anxious, writing dark, confusing stories over 100 years ago. So why is Gen Z, the most digital generation in history, so obsessed with him? Why are his quotes everywhere? Why are his books suddenly trending again? And why do so many young people say, Kafka understood me? The answer has very little to do with literature, and everything to do with how Gen Z experiences the modern world. Kafka wrote about feeling trapped. Kafka's characters are almost always stuck in systems they don't understand, stuck in jobs that drain them, stuck in lives they didn't choose. They try to do the right thing, yet everything feels unfair, confusing, and exhausting. That feeling has a name today: burnout, system fatigue, existential anxiety. Gen Z grew up watching economic instability, competitive education systems, job insecurity, constant pressure to succeed. Kafka didn't write about monsters. He wrote about systems that slowly crush people. That's why it feels modern. Gen Z relates to Kafka's anxiety. Kafka didn't pretend to be confident. He wrote openly about self-doubt, fear of failure, feeling inadequate, feeling like an outsider. Gen Z is one of the first generations to openly talk about mental health. They don't want perfect heroes. They want honesty. Kafka's writing feels like someone finally admitting, I don't know how to exist comfortably in this world. That vulnerability resonates deeply. The absurdity makes sense today. Kafka's worlds are irrational. Rules change without explanation. Authority figures make no sense. Punishment comes without clarity. Sound familiar? Algorithms decide visibility. Rules change overnight. People are judged constantly without knowing why. Gen Z lives in a system where effort doesn't always equal reward, logic doesn't guarantee success, stability feels temporary. Kafka's absurdity feels realistic now. Kafka validates feeling lost. Previous generations were told, work hard and things will make sense. Gen Z was told that too, and then watched it fail. Kafka never promised clarity. His stories say, you may never fully understand what's happening, and that's not your fault. That validation matters. Kafka doesn't give solutions. He gives recognition, and recognition is powerful. Social media amplified Kafka. Kafka fits perfectly into quote culture. Short lines, heavy emotion, relatable despair. Platforms like Instagram and TikTok turned his writing into identity statements, emotional captions, aesthetic symbolism. But beneath the aesthetic is something real. Kafka became a language for emotions people couldn't explain themselves. It's not about being depressed, it's about being aware. This is important. Gen Z doesn't like Kafka because they enjoy suffering. They like Kafka because he names feelings society usually ignores: alienation, meaninglessness, pressure without purpose. Kafka doesn't romanticize pain. He exposes it. And Gen Z respects honesty over optimism. Why this obsession makes sense. Kafka understood something timeless: that modern systems can feel inhuman, that individuals often feel powerless. That confusion itself can be traumatic. Gen Z didn't discover Kafka. They recognized themselves in him. Closing. Franz Kafka isn't trending because Gen Z wants to be sad. He's trending because he explains a world that feels overwhelming, confusing, and emotionally heavy, without pretending it's simple. Kafka didn't write for his time. He wrote for anyone who feels lost inside a system that doesn't care. And that makes him more relevant now than ever.